Hello, I'm Raylib, and today's episode is about DVD. The DVD screensaver is a DVD logo that keeps on moving diagonally across the screen. When it touches the edges of the screen, it changes direction and color. So, how did I thought of making something like that? I was scrolling and reading Raylib's cheat sheet, then I encountered these two functions, setRandomSeed function and GetRandomValue function. And then I was thinking about what these two functions could be used for. So I continued reading the rest of the line, and in conclusion, I don't know what setRandomSeed is for. But I'm pretty sure GetRandomValue is related to getting a random value between the minimum and maximum value. And so, VS Code is open, created a C file, included Raylib's library, and got a window to run using init window function and a while loop with the window should close function, which is the same as assigning it to false. Begin drawing, end drawing functions, and clear background function. This is the basic setup, everything else starts from here. And I forgot to mention the setTargetFPS function. Anyway, to replicate the DVD screensaver, I used a function called drawText to draw a text on the Windows surface. It takes a character, which is the text, that will be displayed, then X and Y position, the font size, and a color of your choice. F5 to run. After having my text drawn, I made an X and Y variables for its dimensions. Now it looks cleaner. Next, I incremented the X and Y variables for movements. I know that it would have been faster or more efficient if I made a variable responsible for the movements, but I've got no excuse here, since I did make the same mistake in the last video and again in this video. Collision. The only collision we'll need here is collision with walls. So I will save you the trouble of watching the errors that I've made and go over it. And after making the collision, I have to find a way to make the collision point be below the text and at the edge. It has the same concept as a drawCircle function. You draw a pixel and the radius determine how big it will be. You can say it's kind of the same here. The drawText function starts the writing from the pixel in the X and Y position. Hence why I had to add some measurements. GetRandomValue. I started off by creating a color variable called color, and by doing that I can easily change the text color in drawText function. This step is very important. Well, it's not as important as the GetRandomValue function, but it plays a crucial part in mimicking the DVD screensaver. It would be a lie to say that it was easy to implement it in the code, and now that I am in this position and after seeing my code again, I did complicate the process. And I believe that I will continue to do so every time I try to learn something new. I mean, that's how the journey is, right? Anyway, there were some setbacks, not to the point of shutting down my PC out of frustration, but implementing the GetRandomValue function wasn't that hard. It just needed a bit of logic, that's all. What you're seeing now is the function doing its work. But that is not the goal that I had. So in order to achieve something similar to Screensaver, I will need to tell the code to change the text color when there is a collision with the walls. And to do that is simple. Just transfer the code that you wrote inside the if block that checks if there is a collision with the walls. But writing the same code again in all of the if conditions is bad practice. And I got the genius idea of writing a function that contains the code of changing the colors. Then instead of repeating the same code in each of the if blocks, I will just write it once in the function and write the name of the function inside the if block. Another cool thing about this is if I want to change colors later, I can just update it from the function that I've made. But yeah, and again, I can see what the problem is here. And so I went ahead and downsized the code and wrote it repeatedly just to make sure it works. And the results are at this point, I had two choices, ending everything here since I've achieved my goal of making a replica of the DVD screensaver, or I could go further and use a function. And so I decided, I'm gonna add a function, or did add a function. Well, to be clear, after I've made the code, I was able to see how a function will work there. So I just copy pasted the code inside the a random function that I've made, and there it is. I will call this RIV, Screensaver, stand for and that is everything. Thank you for watching. I hope my video was enjoyable and not confusing. If you liked the video, hit like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to drop a comment. See you next time.